All right, I call the school committee meeting of March 26th to order. Superintendent Ray, would you call the roll?
Michelle.
Here.
Lisa.
Here.
Marie.
Here.
Randy. Here. Marty.
Here.
John.
Here.
Megan's excused. Chad.
Here.
Jeremy's present.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Adjustments to the agenda, we don't have any. We'll take a motion for approval of last meeting's minutes.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Very good. I'll read through the consent agenda and we'll take a motion on that. We have nominations of Emily Bodecker, BIS teacher, appointments with BMS stipends, stipend change, BIS stipends, Krista Antoine, BPS Ed Tech 1, Karen Burnett, BHS Ed Tech 3, and resignations Joyce Poulin, BHS Athletic Guidance.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by John, seconded by Marie. Any discussion? All those in favor? Just want to thank Joyce Poulin for many years of dedicated service and a wonderful, wonderful person who worked so hard for us. Okay, Jeremy, superintendent's report.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Have a couple of items tonight. I'm proud to share that several of our dedicated teachers have been nominated by parents and or peers for the 2025 York County Teacher of the Year. We had Christine Duncan of Biddeford Primary School, Nancy Goodwin of Biddeford Intermediate School, and Dee Dee Ho of Biddeford High School at the APC Center. That's a tremendous honor and reflects their commitment and love for education and learning and their dedication to our students. So thank you to those staff members and congratulations. This is kind of a message for employers out there in Biddeford and the surrounding area. But Biddeford Regional Center of Technology is hosting an employment fair for students on May 1st and welcome local businesses to attend if they are looking for motivational, seasonal, part-time, or full-time employees. Students from the BRCOT come from many different communities in the area and will be in attendance. So if you're looking for job fair opportunity to hire employees, spaces are limited, but you can reserve your spot by visiting the COT website or Facebook page. Congratulations to the Biddeford marching bands, including the Blackout Percussion. I believe we're going to see a show 1:45 on 2 p.m. Friday in the Tiger Gym. So 2 p.m. Friday, if you know our winter music, if you get a chance to come over, it's a great thing. Our Blackout and Blizzard teams have made their mark regionally at the Dartmouth High School Winter Guard International Regional Championships, taking first place in percussion and second place in winds. So this is very exciting. Those teams are doing really well. Thank you to the Honor Society at the high school for coordinating a student body project in which BHS students created over 200 handmade Welcome to Spring cards for residents of Biddeford Estates and other assisted living homes. Spring sports has started up. You're in the pitchers and catchers week, and hopefully this weather continues to cooperate and we get outside very quickly. And then any of you who I mentioned it last week, but it was last Wednesday night, Paulette, at your building, the cooking contest. It was Feud, which was kind of based off like the show Chopped with Heart of Biddeford. And it was a tremendous event at the COT, and our students prepared food, and wow, it was really impressive to see how our students have done such a remarkable job and how proud they were and how professional they were in those pieces. So very exciting. Hopefully we'll get a taste of that again on our meeting next Monday night with the City Council, and we'll talk about that during budget update.
Excellent. Great update. Feud was a big success, and I know it sold out. That was really cool. What's the date of the job fair again? Is that handy?
May 1st.
May 1st, good. I know that's a great event. Any questions for Jeremy? Okay. Do we have any committee reports this evening? Okay, I didn't think we did. All right. I don't believe there's any old business, so that takes us to new business. We have a series of things here. I don't think there's anything except for the field trip that needs a motion, but this item A, you want to give an update on that, Jeremy?
Winter NWEA?
Yeah.
Chris is prepared to
Chris,
deliver that.
very good, thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm pinch hitting for Dr. Sierra tonight. She's been in Skowhegan since Sunday, performing a decennial accreditation for the Skowhegan School Department. So she asked me to stand in. She's on her way home right now. So Mandy included a memo in your packet summarizing our NWEA math and reading, both growth and achievement for the comparison of the winter administration 2025 to the winter administration of 2024. I think there are a couple of bright spots here, and I also think there are a couple of opportunities for growth. I think the bright spots are generally in literacy, and I think the opportunities in growth are generally for mathematics. You'll notice that one number that really stands out to me is grade 5 mathematics. These are your COVID babies. So these are kiddos who entered public schools for the first time during COVID. And whether it's the NWEA, which 38 states use as their common assessment, or the National Association of Educational Progress, which, as a requirement of the federal government, is administered to schools in all 50 states plus territories, show the same data, which is that students who entered school at about pre-K, K, or grade 1 during the COVID epidemic are showing this severe dip in both literacy and mathematics, and we're doing work to overcome that piece. I think a couple of bright spots in the data really point to literacy, and we also have started digging into the data. I know that Lindsay and her math folks are meeting on Monday to dissect the winter scores, which just came out with their math coach, Lisa Duchesne, to better understand where we are at this point with Math in Focus in year 4 to figure out how we can improve and stabilize those math scores. One of the biggest predictors in all of these data are poverty. And this is consistent across whether it's NWEA or NEAP. Another one is language spoken at home. And often there's a misconception that mathematics is a universal language, and that really is not the case past about grade 3. Because when you look at our math curriculum in grades 4 and 5, mathematics relies largely on language. Think about the idea, for example, of a table. You're all sitting at a table, but a table can also be a mathematics table. And for someone who doesn't speak English as a first language, this can be very confusing. And if you were to look at our curriculum, it is heavily language-based. And it's asking students at that time, in alignment with state assessments, to use mathematical concepts in terms of language. And so when we peel back the layers of data a little bit, we see that students who are not economically disadvantaged or who have English as their first language at home are performing well above average. We have incredibly successful math meet teams, and our GT mathematics programs at our elementary level, outstanding. But for our students who are economically disadvantaged or for whom English is not their first language, those kids are struggling, and we need to do a better job supporting those kiddos. I think generally as I look through the data as a layperson, now again, Dr. Sear is an expert in assessments. I am not. I don't pretend to be. But the reading scores, I think, give us something to look forward to and to be positive about. And again, some of these are apples to apples and some of these are oranges to oranges. So when we look at achievement, that's just you pluck a kid off the street, you give them an assessment, how do they do? But when you look at percentile growth, you're looking at how much did they improve year over year from winter to spring. And these scores are normed against NWA scores between 2015 and 2020. That norming stopped at 2020 because NWA assessments were not largely given during COVID. That is a proctored in-person assessment, so there was no like remote administration of the NWA, so there's been a little bit of a reset there. But we wanted to give the school committee and the public at large a little bit of a sense of where our students are succeeding and where we have work to do. And I think that work is clearly in the middle level mathematics at this point. Superintendent Ray or I are happy to answer your questions, talk a little bit about the future of mathematics instruction, and talk to you a little bit more about progress in the implementation of our nascent math program.
Questions for Chris on this? Trav?
This has been a topic that I joined the school board for from the beginning, which was a concern of mine, having 4 kids in town, 3 of which are now part of the school district. And I'm curious on the NWA scores. How are they used to rate the high school or the school district in general compared to other schools? And I ask this because if we are here to prepare our kids for the next level, and you look at these scores, they are indicating the majority of our district is below average. And in fact, the scores on growth are below average. So even if we grow, we're growing at a lower rate than other schools, if my interpretation of this data is correct. And so if we then extrapolate that out to when it comes time for these kids to go into college or a job, and they are compared against other kids with these scores, they're not going to come out as well. And so I guess I understand your point on poverty and English as a second language. I'm doubtful that that is going to be a metric that colleges use or careers use when they are racking and stacking these students to figure out whether or not they should join their college or become an employee. So just, it is, I don't have anything more to say than it is a concern of mine. And I went back through 22, all of the minutes that I could have access to, trying to compare what the growth was from year to year. And it seems like previous years, the data was consolidated in a different way. So I'm wondering if there is a way we can get an apples-to-apples comparison year to year to see if there are trends on the school district at large. Are we making steps in the right direction? Are the programs that we're putting in place having an effect the way that we want? So I guess I would ask if I can get some more consistent data for year to year that we can take a look at.
So Chad, my understanding of your question is, can I have longitudinal data? So year over year to compare mathematics growth and achievement and reading math
Yes.
and achievement? The answer to that is absolutely.
Perfect.
To the first half of your question, which is how is this advantaging or disadvantaging students who are applying to post-secondary opportunities, the answer is that it's not. So in the 11 years that I've worked in Biddeford, the state of Maine has had 4 comprehensive assessment systems. The NWA is the 4th. We have to give the NWA to all students to receive state funding once a year, but we give it 3 times a year. And the purpose of giving it 3 times a year is to provide our principals and our MTSS teams, our multi-tiered student support teams. So these are groups of teachers, ancillary staff, guidance counselors who come together and say, who are the kids in red, right? So who are our kids who are really struggling and underperforming, to give them data to say, oh, this kid's really struggling with concepts, this kid's really struggling with language, this kid's really struggling with basic, to tailor their instruction accordingly. Each year, the Biddeford Guidance Department meets with Principal Jakes, meets with me, meets with Eli Fletcher, and we assemble what's called a school profile. And a school profile is a document, a one-pager, that's attached to every student's transcript when they apply to college. In modern times, we use an online software application called Naviance, and we just upload it to Naviance. In the old days, we'd put it in an application packet. And the school profile contains a bunch of different information. How many honors classes are we offering? How many APs are we offering? What's our average GPA? How many kids are economically disadvantaged? Some high-level sort of like demographics information, achievement information, how many kids have matriculated in recent years, what's our graduation rate, how many kids have we sent to Ivy schools. There's no place in our school profile that we identify what our NWA scores are. This is really an internal metric to help us tailor instruction and improve. If the board's desirous of longitudinal data at a future meeting, absolutely. I have to be candid. I don't know how to pull that information, but Dr. Sayre can certainly do that, and I'd be happy to put that on the agenda for next meeting.
So just to follow up on that, if the NWA is not that metric that is used, you said it's one of 4, sorry, are those 3 others, how do they rank nationally? How do our scores rank nationally?
I'm sorry, the three others.
I thought I heard that the NWA was the fourth of 4 metrics that are used to identify curriculum in the school.
Fourth test we've had in the last,
Oh,
it's
Yeah,
changed
fourth
so many
iteration of
times.
state assessment.
so
So
is
before
there
that.
another standard test that's used?
Oh, yes, so that's part of the challenge with the state of Maine and the Department of Education, is that every couple of years, people get upset about the state assessment, and they go to Augusta and they testify against it, and then there's a change, right? So for example, the state assessment at one time was the SAT for high school students, and then it changed to what was sometimes called the butter test, the Smarter Balanced Assessment System, and that was the regime for a while. And then we had the STAR assessment system, and then the state changed to NWAA during COVID. And the challenge with those changes, Chad, is that longitudinal data can't be translated from one system to another, right?
Yep.
So if 60% of kids were meeting under Smarter Balance, that doesn't mean that 60 kids are also meeting during NWAAs. So how much longitudinal data we'll be able to get you is probably back to COVID, if I'm remembering right. But what we would really like as educators is one stable, intergenerational set of metrics where we could really say, hey, is this generation doing better than the last? Is this high school graduating cohort doing better than 8th graders were 5 years ago? And right now, no school in the state of Maine has that.
Do we have placement data on, how many of our students are going to accredited colleges or whatnot?
100%.
Can that be used as sort of a gap measure to determine whether the curriculum is doing the job?
Yeah, and that's that one pager, the school
Okay.
profile that we upload to Naviance every year, and we are happy to brag about our post-secondary admits. That's a primary factor. One of the things, Chad, is like, we could graduate our valedictorian with a 4.2, and Thornton could graduate their valedictorian with a 4.4, and Scarborough with a 5.2. None of that matters, because when an admissions office gets a transcript, they do a recalc instantly, right? So our local GPA, our local graduation honors, our local rank in class and all those sorts of things, that's all internal celebratory, that's all internal ranking. In order to level the playing field, Columbia is going to take Biddeford's transcript and a school in Georgia's transcript and a school in Humboldt County, California's transcript, and they're going to recalc to sort of level that playing field. So any data that we provide you is really internal and used for us to plan better, but doesn't carry a ton of weight externally.
So how do we get our hands on that normalization that the colleges do? So we have a no-kidding comparison of where our district sits compared to others.
I
That's
think-
really the root of my question.
Yeah, I think our best metric is how many kids continue to post-secondary education and how many kids continue to post-secondary education in competitive schools. So how many of our kids are we sending to 2-year schools? How many kids are we sending to service academies, which is a huge honor, and we're lucky if we get 1 or 2 a year. How many kids are we sending to a baccalaureate institution? And then how many kids are we sending to a competitive baccalaureate institution? So a little Ivy or an Ivy. And I think those are data that are valuable, and I think we're very competitive in those regards.
Yeah, I guess I'd be more interested in that data than,
We'd be happy to share a
Perfect.
copy of the school profile, which is it done? Must be close to done. Happy to attach it as a document to our next school committee
and
agenda.
trends over, to see how we're doing,
Yeah.
how that rate is increasing or decreasing over time.
Yep.
Perfect, thank you.
But I think it's also important for you to also take the lens that since having free community college available for kids, that has changed things significantly. When we would do the college fairs here or the college workshops with People's Choice or some of the other institutions about planning, you'd have kids who'd be coming up and be like, yeah, I'm not going to UMaine right now or anywhere else because I can get this for free for 2 years and then transfer everything over, because I think that a lot of parents have been reading about, hey, why are we going to get $50,000 or $60,000 in debt when we can take some of those courses for free? So that does change your profile a little bit when you think about where kids are going.
I think that's a really good point, Jeremy. My older son is smarter than I am by a mile and could have been a competitive Colby Bates Bowdoin kid, wants to be a pilot. Dad, why am I going to take on debt? I'm going to go to SMCC and get my degree for free, and while I'm there, go to flight school and accrue my hours towards being a pilot. He will graduate this June, and he'll matriculate to a four-year school. He'll take on 2 years of debt towards his baccalaureate program. As I always say to him, in case you run your hand through a table saw and you can't be a pilot anymore, while he continues to train in Denver. He just moved out to Denver this semester. He's moved all his credits online. He's flying 20 hours a week and accruing his hours towards his dreams. So, that's an example of a kid who 5 or 6 years ago would have been a baccalaureate kid and would have cost me $400K, and the only money he's costing me right now is rent and flight school.
Well, this is good. I mean, I think the point Chad is trying to make is, I think we keep our eyes on the prize. We want to, frankly, discuss how we can improve these scores. So whatever you can provide, however you provide.
Longitudinal data and the school profile next meeting, happy to commit to that.
Okay, that sounds good. All right.
When you also talk, just the other point for you guys to be aware of, when you talk about state testing, they have procurement laws, and right now they're out for an RFP again to see which company they will select, because they're required to go out every 3 to 5
3.
years because of those procurement laws. Could be something else that we talk about next year, which is a downer for us because we just want consistency. But
Okay, good discussion. I think we should keep working on this. If we're good on that, how about Becca and the last presentation? We'll look forward to that. Didn't give you much warning, sorry. Oh, we're looking over there, yeah.
So I'm going to chat a little bit first, and then we'll break into the slideshow.
Okay.
So those of you who don't know me, I am Rebecca Cody. I'm the director of the Learning Works BLAST After School program. First question for you, does anyone know what BLAST stands for? You don't yet.
Biddeford learns after school together.
Yes. Awesome. So, and I believe that Marcy Dion coined that years ago. We have been a partner with the district for close to 13 years now. Yep. So that's pretty amazing. So first, like a little bit about after school and why we do it and why it's important is, and I believe everybody knows this, but just kind of shortly, we provide safe, supervised environments for the kids. We provide academic support, enrichment. We help them develop social skills and explore their interest, and we can kind of steer them because we have small groups. We can kind of steer those social skills to be a little bit more intentional. Like, what do you say to your neighbor if you're feeling upset? Things like that. And we also kind of ultimately contribute to their overall well-being and success. We support working families, create connections with their community, provide positive role models to help them navigate life. And regular participation in these programs have been linked to lower dropout rates and narrowing of achievement gaps, particularly among low-performing students or low-income students. So at BLAST, our why as educators are we want kids to notice and we want them to wonder. We want them to observe what's going on in their world and how these things relate to them. And then they can make connections to their world and begin to see how they fit and what they can do and see themselves making an impact. And we tap into children's natural curiosity to guide them and to explore and learn and ultimately instill a love of learning that they can reach so they can reach their full potential in work and in life. And I think that's the piece, is instilling that love of learning and knowing, not even recognizing that they're learning something because they're so absorbed in whatever STEM or exploration that we're doing. And and it is my hope and goal that that is what transfers into the school day when they're more engaged in school. So briefly, the 21st Century Learning Programs, it is the only federal funding source dedicated exclusively to after school. We provide free, high-quality academic enrichment opportunities during after school and summertime for students pre-K through 4 who are academically performing below or partially below grade level that also don't have the resources to go do paid after-school programs or enrichment tutoring programs. One thing. So our program here in Biddeford, we have 2 grants. They are 4-year cycles. We are in the first year of a four-year cycle over at BPS and JFK. And we are in our third year of a four-year cycle at BIS. So next year, we will be, fingers crossed, applying for the next four-year cycle at BIS. The targets that we hit, we have several youth-serving targets, operational, administrative, and program data and quality improvement targets. So when we meet our targets, we consistently exceed them. So for last year, 23-24, we hit 76% of our targets, and that was an increase of 6% from the previous year. And at BIS, we hit 83% of our targets 2 years ago, but went down to 26% of our targets, mainly due to reporting error. But those things happen, unfortunately. So when that happens, what we have to do is every year we do assessments, program assessments, and through those assessments and observations, we create improvement goals. So if we fall below 70%, then we identify additional goals that can help us bring us back up. And basically the targets that we don't hit consistently are the number of caregivers that attend our family enrichment and educational opportunities. So we are required to provide a certain number of educational opportunities, which we always hit because it's always easy to invite parents to chaperone. We do celebrations of learning. But when the numbers aren't there, when they're working, or they can only so many of them show up, that's not hitting our target.
What would be a specific thing you'd like people to show up for, Rebecca?
Basically, our celebrations of learning. So usually after every unit, we'll do a celebration of learning where the parents can come in and the kids get to show them what they've done. We'll also probably add a educational piece in there and have the kids teach them how to do the project that they're doing. Usually it's those pieces, and I think, going and kind of problem solving, like how can we address that? And right now I'm working on creating a much more comprehensive family onboarding when we get our registrations in, so that we're including, instead of, it's like, it's important that you have consistency in attendance, and here's how we communicate and things like that, but more like, it's not the kid, it's not the student that we're registering, it's the family, and they are part of this. They have a say in our programming, they have a say in what educational opportunities we might offer them, field trips, and this year we've invited families in to read to our kids, so it's getting there, but I think it would also help, and doing more comprehensive onboarding will definitely help with them being more active in the programming, and basically, and communicating when there's an issue with a child or something, and we have to have that conversation that they're on board with it. So consistently, we've seen that's kind of sketchy, so if we have that very kind of comprehensive onboarding with them, I think that's going to really help. So we'll start that out. But another target that we've had a hard time meeting over these last few years is our regular low-performing student numbers. It is, let me see, at JFK, we should have 30 students, and we had 22 enroll, and we have 18 currently active. And at, let me see, BPS, we registered 40, but enrolled 31, and that had to do with the kids that registered. When we go back and look at their scores, and they are exceeding, they're doing fine. We talk to the parents and say, okay, let's open this space up for the students that need it, and then if we do have room, then afterwards, we're welcome to have them, because it's nice to have those kids that are exceeding in the program, because they model good academic behavior. And it's a great thing for them to help their friends, and their friends can see that. And so we've enrolled 30. Right now we currently have 27 students. And another piece to that is the is our staffing. We have a 4 to 8 students per staff ratio. And we can't, because we're understaffed, we can't take more kids. And I think it's a small ratio like that because we don't have the rest of the school supports. It's just us there. You know, we don't have a nurse, we don't have a BHP to send them to or anything like that. So there's a lot going on, and we have a lot of transitions between snack and recess. They come in for circle. Sometimes we'll split out rooms for the STEM activities. So there's a lot going on. But when we do hit our targets, we consistently exceed them. For example, our proposed outcomes for the percentage of academic improvements in reading and math for all sites over the course of the program years. We've exceeded those percentage points for all but I think 1 year. That was 2016, I think. And I'm happy to share, every year we get at the end, probably like before the school year starts or sometime in the fall, we get our performance report from the state, and all of that is based on the data in the database, the director's reports on our assessments, teacher surveys, and so we get those, and I'm happy to share those with everybody because they kind of shows what we've done and what we're missing, where we hit our targets, where we're shy of. It's really kind of informative, and it helps me look at the following year coming up. It's saying, okay, what do we really need to focus on?
Sounds good. It looks like you've got some slides to.
You want to see some kids, some little kiddos? So we have, let me see, 6 main academic goals, 6 main goals in this grant. We have academic improvement, which is not necessarily, and all of that comes through the enrichment programs, reading, STEM, multicultural, visual performing, health and wellness. So for instance, I'm sorry, this is kind of slow. Let me see if I can bring this up. So these little guys are, of course, measuring for distance, and they've got, working together in pairs and in partners. They've got clipboards, they're taking notes, they're having fun. It's all about the hands-on materials and letting them make what they do and test these things. So that's the primary school. These guys are at JFK. Again, working together to build, to stack, to understand structure. Big base helps. Can't have a little base and a big top. And these are some of our partners at UNE. They are technology advancement students. So they are teaching our kids at BIS. They came in for 6 sessions to work with our kids in different technological ways to learn. Like this one, I think, was doing podcasts. So the partnership with UNE has been really great. We appreciate them so much. We also have right now an intern, which has been very helpful over at BIS. These are some field trips that we took. We take the kids to Fortune Rocks because we were learning that first session about flight. So we started out with kites, and then we went on to balloons, and then airplanes. So we took them to the Biddeford Airport, and they met a pilot who talked them all about Biddeford Airport and what it means to fly in and out and everything that you have to do besides that. And every single kid got to sit in the Cessna, which was pretty amazing.
All very exciting. Then they went to the mayor's office.
And then they went to the mayor's office. But they loved the mayor's office too. They sat at the mayor's desk, and they all sat and they all like pretended like they were being mayor, and it was really great. And so when they imagine that they can be that person, that they could be a pilot, that they could be the mayor, that's huge because it's your imagination that takes you, that drives your intent to go somewhere and to do something. MacArthur Library visit. This was out at Andy's Agway with the giant catapults. So, which is just so fun. It is amazing. They have such a great time. And then over at Dudziak's Gymnasiums. So every one of these things is relates to one of our grant goals. For instance, a physical activity, STEM for the Andy Zagway, and literacy at the library. This is also Caro from MacArthur Library bringing in the dinosaurs. So they'll read a book about dinosaurs, and she'll do a little performance with them. The City of Biddeford Fire Department, this was amazing. They went all out, and they had all of the kids in the cafeteria. We brought the kids over from BPS. We had the JFK kids walk over from JFK, and I swear they had maybe 20 guys there, and they had one of the guys dress up in the full uniform while the kids counted how many seconds does it take for him to do that. And then they explained how this is what I look like. If your house is smoky and I'm gonna come in and get you, I'm not a scary person. This is what I look like, and I'm gonna crawl on the ground. And they all high-fived and hugged him, and then they went on to show him the jaws of death, and they were just enamored. So it's so great to make those connections to the community for our kids, because they see where they are and they see what they are a part of. This other slide down here was one of our students at BIS. Her father has a drum circle. He's Abenaki, and she wanted him to come in, and it was really pretty amazing. And so he showed the kids the dance, and they could participate or not. And so it was just kind of a small thing, and so the kids danced, and they did the drumming, and then we're trying to get a greater event around this, or have him come at another family event where more people can be involved, but it's hard time-wise for them. Anyways. So these are some kiddos over at BIS. We do a lot of natural sciences over there. It's great. We have the trail, and our staff are very passionate and knowledgeable in ecology. So, and it's a really great venue for kids to be able to explore. We get microscopes out. They do drawing observations, and then this other one would be just a club, I believe. But it's nice. One thing that's really great at BIS is we are in the SEL room, and it's and it's the auxiliary gym, and it's big enough that we can stay there. Where in the other schools, we borrowed teachers' classrooms. So we wheel our cart in and wheel it out. And here we have a blast wall, we have our blast rug, we have our cabinets there, we have a bulletin board, and all of the other kids in the school see the things that we do. And I think that's really important for them. It's important for the program, because they're actually can give them a choice, saying, oh, hey, and we hear this, oh, I want to join Blast, I want to join Blast. And that's what we want to hear, definitely, especially because our numbers there, our RLP requirements there are 40, and we have 18. So, and that's another thing that, a challenge that I've been brainstorming about, and I'm thinking like maybe what we need to do directly is for our registrations, I'll put a call out for referrals. So, okay, in the fall, all of the kids that were in the summer, if we go by that time, I know their NWA scores, those kids are invited back. And then I'll put out a call for referrals for all the staff, and that goes through the building leaders. And then, but I think maybe what we need to do is kind of dig a little bit deeper and identify kids across all of the grades, like who are below that red line, and see if we can get them in the program, especially before families start to kind of plan for other after-school activities. I think that's where some of our kids go to, because there's a lot going on, especially once you get into 3rd and 4th grade. All of those activities start to pick up.
That's a good idea. Please push that.
Betcha. Let's see. So let me see. We got more slides?
This is good, Rebecca. Thank you.
You betcha. We got our little kiddos. These are at BPS. doing some clubs, working together. One thing that we try and emphasize is that we are a learning community. We emphasize that with the kids, and we create this culture of Blast that where kids are excited to go because they're always going to be doing something different, something amazing, something with their hands, making a mess, making something they've never made before, breaking something. And I feel like we create this environment where it's safe for them to fail because we're going to help them figure out how to not fail again. Just for, look at those mistakes. What did you do wrong? What did we learn? How did you draw out that? We use the engineering design process where we'll draw it out. First, what's the problem? And then show them all the materials. And this is what you can do. So go back and draw what you need to do, and then come get your materials and build that thing. And then go test it. Did it work? Not so good? Go back to the drawing board. What can you do? What was it that didn't work? And so, what's nice is we have the time to be able to do that with them. And if we don't get our thing done, that activity done that day, we can take it the next day. And I feel like in this after-school program, that's, gives us the flexibility to be able to kind of meet the kids where they're at.
Good, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Questions or thoughts from the committee? All right, keep this program going strong. We really appreciate it. It's
Thank
excellent,
you.
excellent program.
Great. Thank you, Marty. I
Any-
really appreciate that.
Okay, and I don't know if you want to circulate to the committee enrollment or sign-up information or anything like that we can get out individually or anything like that, but please
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
free.
definitely. I could totally do that. I also want to acknowledge the partnership that we have, that LearningWorks has with the school district, and everything they do for us to make this happen. We couldn't do it without you guys. So, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Well done. Jeremy, you want to talk to us about your legislative activities?
Yeah, just, I had put this memo for LD 501 and 193 together for the city council, and wanted to, again, share with you guys so that if there are talking points or if you reach out to your locally elected officials, this can give you a good start if you want help with those letters. I was talking with Marty again today that, again, I believe that our activity with our elected officials, whether it be in the area or others that you just know across state, we need to continue to ramp those up. If we want to impact any change in this process, that's where it happens. There are several bills that are going forward over the next couple of weeks on other types of items, whether that be from school choice to superintendent's agreements, to a lot of different pieces that will be coming before the legislature. You guys get probably an email from Robbie Feinberg in Maine School Board, and he has a little video podcast. But if there's any information that you want to help to advocate for or in opposition of a bill, reach out to us and we can help you link those pieces up. We still have not received a work session on these two bills, which is important for us to have. And then also today, the reports from MEPRI on the EPS study, two more areas were presented, and that was around special education costs and regional adjustment. I can send you guys the reports on there, but essentially on the special education piece, it is as simple as communities that have less poverty are spending more money and getting more money back than those in others. And there's some really interesting charts that I can show you that I hope that you would see those and say, wow, that doesn't seem to quite make sense, where communities with the lowest 33% of socioeconomic status spend about $3,200 per student, when those 33 and the highest are in the $1,500 range, and thus they're getting more money back. That's kind of off. So I'll send you those things a lot legislatively that will continue to happen over the next probably 3 or 4 months.
It's interesting, all your efforts I think we're slowly steering the tanker here, and we've gotten ourselves back into one of the revenue sharing buckets called revenue sharing two, and if we keep tiffing stuff to keep the valuation going, and then this work by you, Jeremy, is especially important because it's Cumberland and Falmouth are getting greater percentages than we are, which is just goofy. So there is a funding formula working group that will have a report out in front of the legislature soon, right? I mean, that seems like an absolutely key.
Yeah, that's the
point.
MEPRI report. They've got 2 more sections that they'll need to produce. And one of the items that we're trying to get across to the education committee is that, okay, so you get a report, then what? That is the thing that I would say drives me more crazy over time, is that we do all of these studies and have all of these reports, and then it's what impact did that have to create an environment that is something better for us? And so that's the piece, Marty, that we have been really hammering on, is this to education committee, and again, anybody who has contacts there, is to say, okay, get this report. Is there going to be an action committee to present ideas for change?
Yeah, got it. So my ask would be, and I think we could team up here as a committee, once you see that report, you know it's out. We can, if there's any logic in this world, it will say what we're saying. So we can hammer that report with our various contacts together with you.
And I would say that the first 3 sections that have been released very much mirror some of the things that we have talked about, of why does this happen in certain communities and why does this not in others. And it's time to take a non-spreadsheet approach to the funding situation, and not just vote for where increases and decreases are, but really look at the statewide approach. And that includes, again, not necessarily saying that you have to add more money, because there may be some places where people are funding things based off what they believe in their community that may not be seen as efficient or something else, but as a community you made that choice.
Well, it's a good segue into the budget update. You want to keep going?
Yeah, so just a couple of things. Tomorrow, Finance Committee meeting at 1:30 to kind of go through some current things that are in the budget, some capital pieces, and then also where we are based off our presentation to the councils. We will then meet with the council on the 31st.
Which is Monday.
Vocational Center, 5:30. But in that time, there's been a couple of things that seem a whole lot more positive for us as a community, other than, school budget's up 11.5%, which was the impact to taxpayers. So when the city budget comes out, they were able to get more revenue based off being, it's number 2, you're a revenue sharing number 2 community now, because of some adjustments in valuation of a less large of an increase, creating more tax dollars based off valuation. And so currently, right now, when you look at school and city combined, you're at a 5.7% increase in taxes overall. So that's a much different story than we were feeling we were going to be a week ago.
Where does that put us as a school budget then?
So-
Drop us from 11% to anything?
So that school budget is still at the 11% taxation, but when you put city and school together, it's 5.7%, looking at about 81 cents on the mill rate. Now, John and I, over the years, we've always used the number of 4.5 cents per $100,000 on the mill rate, because that's what it was. As the valuation of the city has climbed, based off what we were looking at today, you're looking at more like 2.5 cents, 2.3 cents per $100,000 on the mill rate. And so I think it's a good opportunity for us to still come together as school board, city council, look at where we're at, have those discussions about the programs that we want, what should be in our budgets, and then try to come out of that with a much different position than probably we were feeling prior to the city being able to calculate all their numbers. So while it's not a perfectly happy, shiny picture, it's a whole lot better than what it was, what we were thinking a week and a half ago. So that's progress for us. Health insurance rates still will be the big one on the school department side. We do have the ability to take money out for the Paid Family Medical Leave Act, working on some pieces about closing that building at JFK and what those savings would be and where pre-K would go, and I've got some other meetings lined up. But right now, it looks like it would be 81 cents on the mill rate would be what is needed, which is a whole lot better story than we were anticipating.
Yeah, it's good news. I want to keep making progress and, you know, where efficiencies make sense, find them, but we're making real progress and really excited and pleased about it. But I think that group coming together is going to be good. We intend to put you each with your ward counselor, so that'll be fun. So we'll kind of break the room up a little bit, hopefully get some good discussions going, and just ask for ideas and thoughts and suggestions. And we also get to start off with a little bit of good food from the COT, which will be great. This is a meeting that will not be possible to attend on Zoom, just so the public knows. It will be recorded. The public are welcome to attend in person, and I'm reliably informed we'll even have some extra food for them. So everybody's welcome, but it's not one that you can attend remotely. But to my knowledge, it's not something we've done recently, so I think it's a really good idea. And I think I'm sure it's sure to lead to some good back and forth and generation of positive ideas. Anything further on the budget? Thoughts, comments? Jeremy? Okay, good. Let's keep making progress. The city's financials reporting and stuff is we're really getting close to some key milestones too. So maybe as soon as Monday, be able to give you some updates on that. Okay, it takes us to one item E, where we do need a motion, a first reading of overnight field trip.
Second.
Moved by John, seconded by Marie. Any discussion? All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Adventure-bound rafting. That sounds like fun. It looks like a good one. Okay, anybody from the public wishing to comment? All right. Communications from the board. Alrighty. I have just a couple of quick things. I'd like to once again mention that we're doing an event honoring Vietnam veterans on Saturday. I will say that the weather is looking iffy. I'm afraid it looks like it's going to snow on Saturday. So if that is the case, please check the city Facebook page, because we'll move it inside to council chambers. I want to highlight that the city has a couple of open RFPs right now. One of them is a complex roofing repair job on the rec center. The cupola was struck by lightning last July. It's mostly asphalt shingle and sort of light structural work, but it's way up in the air. You can get a lift over to it. We want to just assure any potential bidders that we'd love to get that work done. And then this one is really, really fun. I hope that people will dream and think big about this one. We have a new public art commission, and one of their first moves is going to be seeking input on what used to be a Citgo sign at 5 Points. It's kind of ugly now. It's in the parking lot of that pink nail salon.
Yep.
So we're seeking ideas from the public on what to do with that.
Take it down.
No, we're gonna, the idea, well, you could take it down. You could do something,
Take it down.
something amazing. You could do Tiger on one side, Pride on the other. You could do anything like that.
Oh,
So
all right.
trying to get some ideas.
So the
Right up
city,
my
does the
alley.
city own it?
The city does, this is a good question. The city does not own it, but we have permission from the landowner to improve the look of it.
So who's gonna be responsible for the maintenance of that?
You
Would that
are,
be the
John.
city? Well, I mean, because that's
And
up in
there's
the
the
air.
question.
That could be,
There's the question.
So I just want to say is I
it used to
could
be mobile too.
barely hear Paulette out there in the audience, and there are some of us who are thinking Citgo sign, baseball fields.
Love it.
I'm I'm with Paulette on that one.
100%. All right. Anything further?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right. We got a motion to adjourn by John, seconded by Marie. All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Good meeting.